Good evening. Welcome to Blake's Boot Room. I'm Blake, the host of this weekly podcast. It is about women's sports. As someone who is very, very passionate about women's sports, I thought, let's try this thing. And so today I thought I would start with a little introduction of who I am and then talk a little bit about what's happened this week in women's sports. So, I'm Blake. I am a trans man, and I think I have a little bit of a unique perspective on women's sports as someone who grew up playing sports as a female. And having that perspective of coming out as someone else outside of sports but playing as where my gender at the time identified. So, I've always been very passionate about women's sports. I grew up, when I was 3, I started playing soccer and running in little kitty races, and that eventually turned into me playing soccer and running cross country and track as I got older. And I was very grateful for those opportunities. However, I remember thinking, I wish I had more opportunities to grow and to that I see the guys get. And I never got those opportunities because I tore all the ligaments in my knee and gave up my sports. So, that those things happen. But I've always had a big affinity for women's sports. When I was 6, and the U.S. Women won the '96 Olympics. Soccer team won the '96 Olympics. I was very, very involved. Well, not involved, but very into what was going on, and that's where really my full love of sports, of watching women's sports started. And then in '99, when the 99ers won the World Cup, it kind of just took off. And when they became household names, and my love and passion just grew. And it feels like every chance I get, my passion for women's sports grows. So, that's a little bit about me and why I feel like this is something I want to try and do and make this venture. So, I feel that's another thing is back when I was younger, women's sports weren't as visible as they are today. And because of that, and where they've grown to, it's incredible, but there's still a lot of work to do. And that's another thing that I feel I will want to discuss as this podcast goes on. Because there's still a lot of work to do to get women the opportunities that other athletes have. And so that's kind of how I want to start, is just kind of discussing where women's sports are, which it's so cool to see how far they have come since I was a little kid. You can find women's sports on almost every day, which is really, really nice to see. but do they get the prime time? Do they get the revenue? Not as much as I would like to see, but it has gotten to a way better spot. And so yeah, that's kind of my intro to who I am and what I'm hoping this podcast can do and garner. I thought today I would talk a little bit about the Women's Champions League, as the first 2 weeks just finished up this past week, and talk about some of the games and that I was able to watch, and give off like some score lines and stuff. So in the first game of this week, Vålerenga played Wolfsburg, and it was a 2-1 win for Wolfsburg. And the second goal was a last kick of the game, PK, in the 90 plus 8 minutes. And the second game, it was Olympic Lyon versus St. Pölten, and Lyon won 3-0 with goals from Hillebrand, Ada Hegerberg, and an absolute brilliant goal from U.S. national team kid, Lily Johannes. It was a brilliant goal. From about 40 yards out, saw the keeper was out of position and chipped her, and getting to see her do that was really, really fun to see. And yeah. Another game, Roma played Barcelona, and Barcelona won 4-0 with goals from Esme Brooks in the second minute. And Barca was kind of holding on for the first half, and they weren't able to get anything in that first half and then in the second half they had a PK that was missed by Alexia Putellas, but Kika Nazareth was able to put one in, and then Alexia Putellas got a second opportunity for another PK, and she converted that one. And then in the late in the game, Caroline Graham Hansen was able to put one in too. Chelsea played Paris FC, and Chelsea won 4-0 with goals from Sandy Baltimore, Kennard, and Erin Cuthbert, and Alyssa Thompson scored her first goal as a Chelsea player, which was cool to see for this, as she made her way from the NWSL and over to Europe, and it was her first goal for them, so that was really cool to see. And then, so those were the games on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, there were a couple more games, and Atletico Madrid played Manchester United, and Man U won 1-0 on a very nice first goal for Fridolina Rofo. She was able to get a volley off of a cross and somewhat had her from Ella Toon. But in that game, there were 2 red cards. One in the first half from Man United, Dominique Janssen went in for a pretty hard tackle, and she was given a red. And then later towards the end of the game, Atletico Madrid player got her second yellow, and I'm gonna say it was kind of controversial. She got the ball first. It was late, but that's my opinion. And then in another controversial game, Bayern versus Juventus played, and Bayern Munich won 2-1 on a controversial goal that if we had a goal line video would be able to tell us if it was in or not. However, they called it, that they scored, and Bayern ended up taking that. And then in the final game, PSG played Real Madrid, which Real Madrid won. So, I know that I could talk a lot more about these games and all of that, but I wasn't able to watch all of them because I don't have all the screens. And also, I also want to talk a little bit more about some other soccer going on this week in the NWSL, because it's basically decision week. The race is very tight leading up to win the playoffs, and so I want to talk about those and points and all that. So this week, today, Friday, Bay FC and North Carolina are playing each other, as well as Seattle Reign and Utah Royals are playing each other today. And when you look at the standings, which are very, very tight, the standings are Kansas City is on 62 points. The Washington Spirit are on 44 points. And then behind that, everything's kind of mashed together. Orlando Pride is in third on 36 points. New York, New Jersey, Gotham are on 35 points. Seattle Reign are on 35 points. San Diego Wave are on 34 points. The Portland Thorns are on 34 points. Racing Louisville is on 33 points. North Carolina Courage is on 29 points. Angel City FC is on 27 points. Houston Dash is also on 27 points. The Utah Royals are on 22 points. Bay FC is on 20 points, and the Chicago Stars are on 17 points. And with 2 games left in the season, those teams in the middle are all really fighting to make the playoffs. So, Bay FC versus North Carolina and Seattle versus Utah today are Seattle could officially secure their spot into playoffs, and North Carolina could make a push to get into one of those top. Actually, scratch that. They can't because they not today. They couldn't secure a spot. Spirit versus Orlando. That game with Spirit in second and Orlando in third. That game could be a pivotal game for the Pride to secure their spot, as the Spirit secured their spot last week. And if, yeah, so that game's tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And then the Houston Dash play the North Carolina Current, and at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, and then the San Diego Wave play the Chicago Stars at 7 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow, which they are in fifth right now, and that could, if they can win, the San Diego, if they can win, they could pull out they could secure their playoff spot. And then on Sunday, Gotham plays Racing Louisville, who are right on the bubble. They are in 8th and with 33 points. So that game could be a deciding factor for either team. And then the final game of the weekend is Angel City FC versus Portland Thorns. And the Thorns are in 7th right now, and the Angel City are in 10th. Thorns have 34 points, and Angel City has 27 points. So those games are going to be pretty. They're going to be good games. So I just thought I would talk a little bit about those. Anyways, also going on this week is Australian rules football has a league in the U.S. and there's nationals going on, which the Portland Sockeyes are a part of. If they play tomorrow against Arizona at noon Pacific time, and if they can win that game, it's kind of like a play-in game. And if they can win that game, they will move on in their chances. And so I would like to get some people involved in watching that, and yeah. For my first show, I think I'm gonna make this kind of short and sweet. But thank you for all showing up, and I appreciate, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you, and welcome again to Blake's Boot Room.